Oh,
Hi,
Dominic.
welcome.
Welcome.
Well, this is a podcast that's been a long time coming since our last episode.
Is there anything new since we?
Latest news with MediaQuest. I think that there was, some big projects we got done recently. Some stuff in the video department. Released some new social media campaigns. Working with some great clients. Just a lot of great things all around. These Telly Awards.
Yeah.
That was another thing that happened.
We won a couple of awards for our 2021 work. Which is exciting. We're looking forward to more. So that brings up a hypothetical I've been wanting to ask you. Okay. Let's say I'm a brand, a company, and I've produced some good content. What do I do with it?
So you have some great opportunity there to not necessarily brag on yourself, because that only works sometimes in very specific situations where people expect and applaud a brand that wants to brag on itself.
Right.
You sort of have to establish that it's your personality.
It could seem awkward and forced if, say, you were to really...
Yeah.
to make a big deal.
To milk it, in front of everybody.
Yeah, so you want to avoid that.
So you don't want to do that.
Got it.
Unless the brand calls for it.
Right.
But what you can do is use the opportunity to show how much work went into it from everybody that was involved. And you can take the award as that opportunity to say, we're so thankful for the actors, the client that was working with us, all the venues that were able to open up their locations and their services that went into the production of this video. So it's a great opportunity to just start pointing positively at everybody else and showing people within your community, whether that's geographic or within an industry, how many people there are to be proud of that you're working with in that community. And it's just a great opportunity to sow that good seed and invest in the good positivity. Because it's just going to come back around to you, but it's greater to give than to receive kind of vibes. With these awards, we had a wonderful opportunity. They gave us a lot of material, and each of them was unique. So one of the awards, the one I'm holding right here, was for Elite Dance Center, who was in Kilgore at the time, but they've recently moved to a Longview dance studio. And they were a great client. They came in fresh with us, not having done any work with us in the past. And they wanted to do a video announcement and some social media marketing for that move from Kilgore to Longview. And so they gave us the visual aspect of dance lended itself to a really amazing video. And within this podcast, we'll have a link to where you can go and watch both of these videos. And I think you'll really enjoy watching the Elite Dance Center.
Yeah, they were a great fun
because
collaborative client,
Katie Quinn and Lexi Drennan. They were just really great to work with. Like you said, collaborative. And you were actually you were more hands-on than me on the actual production side of things. I handled the distribution and social media side. But if you want to talk about how your experience was actually working with them, writing, interviewing them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was just a great time. We pitched the idea that we said we want to do some stage dance scenes for this, really cinematic opening, but we also just wanted to get some real candid footage of you teaching your class. And so they invited us in for, I think it was like a 3-hour shoot, and just really just like worked with us because they knew that to tell the story that we were trying to tell. That was going to take some work on all our parts, and so they were all in on that. Yeah, and the moms and the students as well. They were just really excited. They had a really big hand in it, and it would have been without any one of them, that would have been a different.
Different outcome. Yeah, yeah. They were all, like you said, 100% in the video, and it comes across. And that's really important for video, because it's gonna, if a picture says 1,000 words, you can sort of read into how, when you're doing a video, every shot, people are looking at it and making their first impression about it, and how you can tell. I mean, even when you're watching a movie or anything entertainment wise, you can tell the difference between a cast and crew that are totally into it, and then a cast and crew that are just like, not into what they're doing. And you can tell that difference with the Elite Dance Center as well. So like talking about the client and how much they put into it, I think is an important part of any time you get an award for work that you do, whether it's with a client or with customers, or even just your own team. So if you're a larger company and you get an award for the services that you provide, whether you're in the medical industry or oil and gas, and you have like, a large employee base, anytime you get an award, that the bragging rights for that award, when you're talking from the top, are always going to be, you're going to be pointing down at like, couldn't have done this without the amazing, employees and the crew and everybody that's putting in 110% in order to get us to where we are, right? To be able to achieve awards like this. Yeah.
And I don't think it's any coincidence that the other project was also a very collaborative client. Yeah. Who had a lot of ideas about what they were going for. So this was with the East Texas Council of Governments.
Right. EDCOG for short.
Yeah. And they came to us last year saying, we're looking for somebody to do a educational video for 3rd to 5th graders about littering, recycling, and that world. And so... Yeah,
just to raise a conscientiousness about the environment and things that you can do in order to take, it was younger ages, and being able to give them that exposure within their curriculum, a fun, engaging video that keeps them interested. But it's all about that early exposure, so that as they grow, they take that lesson with them, and they treat our community with the respect that they learned from that video. Without to reduce the amount of recycling or trash issues or dumping issues and things like that, to be more conscious about the environment and how it can affect the world around them.
So that was a really fun project. We worked closely with Lisa Smith and the Solid Waste Action Committee, the SWAC committee, so we worked with a wide array of people. I think our credits list was like 40 names long. We worked closely with Region 7, Paul Eiler, Keep Longview Beautiful, and a couple of other organizations that it's been a year. And so it was just a really valuable experience, especially the actors. Like you've heard before, I'm sure, people in like film and similar industries complaining about working with child actors.
Oh yeah,
I don't get it. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, they are so fantastic to work with. Like every kid that was like on that production was just like so full of ideas. Obviously being
excited to be there.
Yeah. And obviously like full of energy, of course.
Right.
But kids are smart. That's something that.
Whereas it might be difficult to get buy-in, and adults might drag their feet sometimes because they have other things they could be doing right now.
And we're all tired.
Yeah, we're all tired. we have high energy kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see that. Yeah, how the kids could, they really have a lot of creative energy too. So I'm sure that they had a lot of great ideas as you were working with them.
Yeah. Okay, so onto the real crux of it. So let's talk about if you come to us as a company, you have a production that you want to do, but we make it, it's good. But now what? Like you've got it now.
Oh yeah. So you have an award-worthy video at this point,
but you need people to see it.
Yeah.
You know about marketing, right?
Yeah, that's one of the things we do.
Pull up a lower third.
Yeah. We do this. Oh, and it all is marketing. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, what I want to know first whenever we're talking about even creating the video, usually what we'll figure out before we start writing the script is who's the audience and writing the script for them. And once we know who the audience is, from there, we determine where is the audience. And I mean that as a digital marketing director, I mean that in the digital sense. But just directing marketing in general, that can be geographic as well.
Yeah. Can you be specific? Like it's on the digital sense, you mean?
Are they more on Facebook? Are they more on Instagram?
Right.
Where are they also in terms of...
where's their attention?
Where's their attention? So where are they in relation to your services? Are they ready to buy? Do they even know about your services yet? Is this something completely new that your target audience might not even know about, like some new invention? And if that's the case, they're probably not doing Google searches for your new invention because they don't even know about it yet. So you want to go on somewhere like Facebook where you're able to reach them without them searching for you.
Yeah. That's at the state where you're looking for an awareness campaign.
Right. Yeah. So if you're doing an awareness campaign with your video, you're going to want to, digitally, you're going to want to go Facebook usually because that has by far the most people on it still.
Yeah.
But then target audiences might change a little bit. So if your video is about hiring, you're definitely going to go on LinkedIn with that video. If your video is a little bit more artsy or stylistic or having to do with like home decor, things that people typically go to Instagram to see, you're going to want to go to Instagram with that video. And usually there's a lot of crossover between the Facebook and Instagram ad campaigns that we run since they're both owned by Facebook.
Right.
But in terms of like talking more about where your audience is at, you can go to YouTube as well. A lot of people still go to YouTube for when they're searching for certain things. So you can put it on there organically on YouTube. You can also put it on there through Google, since Google owns YouTube. Yeah. You can run it as ads in YouTube. Either, interruptive ads throughout the video or just ads right at the beginning of videos that they might be looking at. So there's, whenever we're looking at a client wanting to distribute their content, video, graphics, or otherwise, there's a wide network of things to consider. Yeah. And it's all going to depend on who that target audience is and what they want to accomplish with that target audience. Right. And so I could just keep going on and on. Yeah. Because then especially if we bring traditional marketing into the case.
Hey, let's do that.
Okay.
When is a time that you want to have a focused, as opposed to a focused campaign on digital media, when's a good time for, and it's right there in the word, a broadcast,
broadcasting. Net. Yeah. I think that a lot of times is going to depend on the aggressiveness of your campaign. Social media marketing has lowered the threshold for who can get access to advertising for the past 10 years or so. It's still low. I mean, it's got the cost per click, which is your costs for how much your advertising campaigns might cost you per month, has gone up a little bit over the past decade and a half, but it's still much more affordable than what it would have been 2 decades ago, doing just TV broadcast advertising.
Yeah, because to get into TV and radio, even to this day, it can be prohibitive cost for really small businesses.
Right.
And so it's a big commitment. It's, but it's what, so even though it's prohibitive, what would you say some of the benefits
of going into TV broadcasting as well?
TV, radio.
Yeah. What we like to see if we're looking at a much more aggressive and bigger campaign is when we're trying to use that campaign to reach people with multi-channel marketing, which means that basically we want them to not just see it multiple times on Facebook, your message. We don't just want your audience to see your message multiple times on Facebook, although that's good. We also want them to see it on TV, whether that's they're watching Hulu or they're watching cable. We want them to be like looking at their phone. Oh, okay, that makes one impression with them. We want them to look up as they're watching their favorite show and be like, oh, it's them again. The studies have shown that the more often people are seeing you in different areas, each time they get that next impression of you from a different medium, it's going to improve your chances of moving them forward to actually taking action. And digging a little bit more into you and actually making a purchasing decision.
Right. Because every time that you get one of those impressions, that's increasing their familiarity with you.
Right.
And just naturally the way we're wired.
And it's like you're becoming part of their environment.
Exactly. Yeah. And just, the way we're wired with familiarity comes credibility to some degree.
Right.
And with that, comes trust.
Yeah. And we live in a world where there's so many distractions. It's, what you're doing is placing yourself in front of them so often that you get to the point where the other things that are trying to saturate the airwaves for their attention are for just as long as you need it to be sort of pushed aside, and they finally get to the point where they decide if you are for them or not.
Yeah.
That's all you're trying to do with marketing, is get someone to the point where you believe that they're your target audience, which means that you believe that you are better suited than anyone else to provide a good or service to them. That's going to meet one of their needs or wants.
Did you say gooder service?
A gooder service.
Yeah.
A good or service. Yeah. That's going to meet their...
Because I think I got the goodest service, but, I mean...
Well, start with gooder and then get to goodest.
Okay.
But you're trying to get them to make that decision because you believe that you're going to make their life better, basically. And you want them to get to the point where they decide for themselves if they also believe that you're going to make their life better.
Yeah.
And marketing is just getting them to that decision.
Yeah.
And the multi-channel marketing, when you're doing videos, and you're pushing them out over broadcast, you're pushing them out over social media, you take those videos, you make shorter clips, and you push those out over like TikTok and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels, and you do billboards on top of that, and you have brochures, and we're talking about like, where is your audience? Are they going to, clinics? Or are they going to maybe places where there might be a place where you could put brochures up? If they're going to any sort of conventions, you're there. It's just a matter of you showing up in their life to the point where they are able to be well informed enough to make a decision about you.
Yeah.
And you want to make that best possible impression and representation of what you're offering to them, and that's where we come in to represent you as accurately as possible to your in a way that speaks, that's relative to your, that feels relatable to your target audience.
Yeah.
So that's multi-channel marketing. It's about, it can sound like, hey, I'm right here. No, I'm over here. It can sound kind of like you're being obtrusive, but you're not placing yourself anywhere that they aren't already there.
Yeah.
And they're not already looking at.
Right.
Like a billboard, it's there. You don't technically have to look at it, but you're putting yourself out there basically in as many ways as possible.
Yeah.
And you're doing it in a way that is that speaks to that person. Yeah. That fits their personality.
Yeah. It sounds also kind of comparable, I guess, or analogous to a diverse portfolio in the stock market. Yeah. It's just you don't want to put all of your eggs into Facebook.
Right.
Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at analogies here and we're talking about like going all in on Facebook, Facebook is probably an entry level advertising for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So when you're not going all in, I would say you need to also, when you're doing Facebook, also have other things in place to make it easy for people to understand who you are. Before you get into running Facebook ads, you might want to make sure that video that's running is top-notch quality. Right. So that's diversifying a little bit. Make sure that your website is in a place where it's able to communicate who you are. Yeah. Well, because once they click on that Facebook ad, it's going to most likely take them to a website. Right. Most of the time, that's what it's going to do. Yeah. And if that website is confusing, they don't quite have a clear understanding of who you are, it's going to be a detriment to your marketing campaign.
It is, yeah.
So you want to make sure that you're clearly communicating on all fronts. So you have your website, also your Google Maps profile if you have a physical location. So you want to make sure that all the avenues that people find you and learn about you are going to be clearly communicating who you are and not confusing. And so if we're talking about, people who have, a huge budget for a large corporation, diversifying their portfolio would mean running ads across the board, spending across all those things. But that's because they already lined up their ducks in a row when it comes to website, Google ads, and everything else. And having their baseline foundational, organic marketing lined up, set them up for the success to be able to grow into a place where they could diversify that ads portfolio. Yeah. Because first you want to focus on diversifying your organic portfolio as much as possible before you get to that next level in marketing, I would say. Yeah. But when you're ready to start running ads, Facebook's a lot of time. There's going to be different situations because I might suggest, Google ads instead of Facebook in some scenarios. But a lot of times that digital marketing side of ads is going to be where you first step off into advertising campaigns. Yeah. Yeah. And it's good. I mean, that's a more democratic or egalitarian evolution of marketing, having that much lower barrier for entry. You don't want to overstep where you're at that moment with your business or your organization. You're wanting to grow incrementally. And of course you can take aggressive steps to grow a little bit faster, but we usually look at these as a case-by-case basis, and we make the recommendation whether or not, we think you should really be more aggressive here, especially if there's a lot of competition in the advertising space. That would necessitate a little bit more aggressive growth. But a lot of times we're going to look at it as growing you step by step with your marketing. Yeah. And looking at, first, foundationally, how's their website looking? Do we need to focus on cleaning some things up there before we launch this campaign to get a bunch of people to come to that website?
Right. Yeah. And that's a really good point, too, because your identity needs to be established. Yeah. Yeah.
coherent and concise and consistent across the board.
Yeah. Coherent, concise, consistent.
Yeah.
Hey, nice job there.
Yeah. That's a good a place to wrap things up as any.
Yeah. Thank you for putting that together so eloquently. Thank you for your time, Dom. And I will see you next time in anywhere from 1 to 12 weeks.
Yeah. 1 week, we'll do another podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Have a great one.
That's good.
Yep. Yeah, press the
stop. Yeah, stop button.